dancers. Maui is, of course, the place where Source occurs, and the Maui fire dancers are just amazing. Big shout out to Trevor and to Tobin and to Gabe. And another big shout out to Cherry Cake, a woman who can't be here tonight because she went to a friend's wedding, but she spends her burn inside a trailer making laminates for people. That's the kind of civic engagement and dedication that people had, that they're willing to do that kind of work and to make this event possible. So Cherry Cake, I hope you're listening. I hope you're enjoying this. And Dan, you got someone to say hello to.
Yeah, Tom, most people around our team know last year, right on this day, actually, I was married on the playa. I married my lovely now wife, Carla, and we lost the feed, I believe. We did get the feed. Married my lovely wife, Carla, on the playa this year. This is our first wedding anniversary, and she is back in Singapore. Are we on?
Okay, and I think we're on, and I think I'm being asked to send it back to the studio for a moment. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yes. I was hearing it. Yeah, we were fine. Go back.
Studios right now, and we'll go back to live coverage of the Burning of the Man. In the studio with me, of course, Figgy from Camp Envy, and the one and only Caveat to give us background on stuff. Figgy, what do you have as far as an update from Camp Envy?
Well, the Camp Envy, I'm getting a shout-out back to Tigger, who is really, really, really wanting some special attention. So here's a big hug back to you, a big playa hug for you. And other shout-outs go to, once again, Guitar Dan. Miss you, bud. It hasn't been the same without you. Closet Burner next year. Interruptions from trying to keep up with all the fast-paced action here. You guys are really jamming that chat stream. So, again, if you are watching the stream either alone or in a group, you're a burner without playa, that's okay. You're still one of us. You don't have any dust to clean up for yourself.
And be sure to watch at ustream.com/Burning Man. Look for the second link for the Mars Rover art card. We have had a little trouble with the main link, so that gives you another option to do it. Caveat, from what you've heard out there, I mean, obviously the people have been cautioned about not taking their bikes out there, making sure they have lights on. What other things should people be considering as we begin to get in the final stages before the burn?
Well, this is, as you know, the largest Burning Man ever. I mean, we have a population count well over 60,000, and there have actually been traffic snarls this year out on the Esplanade, out in the playa. So more than any rules to follow, I think the thing to keep in mind is be courteous to those around you. Be aware of those around you. There are a lot of people out there. They're going to be just as excited as you are, and it is vitally important to make sure that you are sharing the roadway or lack of roadway courteously, effectively, and consciously, because that is the best way to prevent accidents, injuries of any kind, and just to have a great night.
And the interesting thing about this, for people who've been here before, normally you're about 120 feet back from the base of the man, and that's the safe place. Tonight, if you can picture this, if you can think about where the actual lamps start, that the lamplighters light, that is how far back everybody has been pushed, 450 feet back from the base. And there are 3 trucks with 4,000 gallons of water in each of them ready, just in case.
So not only are there more people, there's actually less playa space.
Yes, so another reason to be careful. The other thing that was kind of interesting today is we saw a lot of concern from some of the rangers as they saw little drone planes flying over. People who have these mechanized planes and they brought with cameras. Now as people are setting up the explosives and the pyrotechnics, obviously you don't want that kind of signal going back and forth. So they were a bit concerned at that point. Everybody was a little tense.
That's right. Well, there was actually a drone summit at Burning Man earlier this year to try to figure out how to deal with the increasing prevalence of drones and drone operators at Burning Man. And on the one hand, it's a wonderful hobby, one that has tremendous potential for artistic merit, for enjoyment, for new kinds of pictures of Burning Man and even art installations. On the other hand, they do represent a whole new issue to deal with in terms of safety, in terms of privacy. This is kind of a new frontier for Burning Man, but one of the things that was very definitely established, one of the key rules was when pyros are being set up, when pyrotechnics are being prepared, the drones stay away. That's just basic. That's just a key rule.
Let's throw it back right now out to Tom Laporte. Tom, what do you see right now?
Right now we see the fire spinners all around the man in conclave doing their thing, bringing the fire to the crowd. And I want to ask Stephen Raspa, who's now been into his 18th burn, and has been here since 1996. How this conclave, how this the burning of the man has changed over the years? Has it always had this level of pageantry?
It has definitely changed a lot. I remember when the man used to be on the ground, and then we started putting him on bases to raise him up a bit more in terms of scale, and then we moved away from the concept of bases more towards pavilions as social spaces, and I like that much better personally. We're not able to keep the man on the ground because the neon is quite fragile and people would climb it and damage it. But having it on very ornate and different social pavilions feels right to me, because the man should be a social space and not something that's overly objectified. That's not the idea.
It almost seems liturgical at this point, with the procession starting at center camp and being led out to the man, and then there's a order of almost an order of liturgy with the fire dancers, and this kind of ceremony is that a recent thing, or has it always been sort of this solemn?
I don't feel that it's solemn. I think that it's we often talk about it as ritual without dogma, and it is ritual, and some of it draws upon ancient sources of ritual, and some are modern. The thing for me always is that the power of the man is that people get to decide what it means to them.
Let's talk to Decibel for just a second, another correspondent out here. You have a little bit of information or some insights into the radius of the and the diameter of the perimeter at this point. It's much bigger than I've seen in past years.
You know, with a man growing as much as he has, with Burn growing as much as it has, what we're really seeing is, I think, an expansion, quite literally. We've got a 400-foot, 450-foot perimeter this year, which is a massive jump. Much like the population jump, it is growing in size, 400 feet back, and they're worried this is going to be one of the hottest burns, I think, because of how much wood is involved, how big the man is, how high the man is on this giant saucer.
This is the largest thing ever burned on the playa, I'm told. What I'd like to do now is stand up with a little bit of help from Stephen Raspa's shoulder. When you're 60 years old, it helps to have some friends. And take it over to Dan O'Day, who's standing with some veteran burners. We're walking now in front of people who are being very nice about this, more or less, and coming down into the emergency lane right where all the people are sitting. And Dan, before you talk to your people, I understand that you have something you'd like to say to your wife so that you can get back in the front door when you go home.
Well, I think she'll let me back in the front door. Tom, as you know, you were at the wedding. I was married last year on Playa. Carla, my wife, and I were married at the temple, and today is our first wedding anniversary. And of course, she's 8,000 miles away in Singapore, and I'm here, and we're apart, and that's kind of painful, but I wanted to let her know. She's listening at home in Singapore. I wanted to let her know that, Carla, I love you, and I'll be home in a few days. Happy anniversary.
And I'd like Carla to know that he's wearing rabbit ears, looks absolutely ridiculous, and you're not missing a thing.
So I'm talking to Eric and Marilyn, and Eric and Marilyn are longtime burners. Tell us where you guys are from.
We are from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Great, and how many years have you been coming out to the playa?
I've been coming out since 1997.
Same thing. We heard about this in an article in Wired magazine. Didn't know anyone who had ever been here. Didn't know anyone who knew anyone who had ever been here. But we were crazy enough that we just had to come out here and check it out.
That is just amazing. What's been your favorite art piece on the playa this year?
I like the Cubitron type things a lot. So I like the Cubitron. The scale of some of these things is becoming more and more enormous every year. It boggles the imagination just to see them.
Marilyn, did you get out to the temple this year?
Yes, I did. I did get out to the Temple of Holiness. I get out there every year. It's always very meaningful for me. It seems in our community in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it seems like I'm in the film and video community, and someone unfortunately has an accident or tragic death. And it seems like almost every year I'm writing someone's name on the wall. This year, ironically, a makeup artist in our community died, Sarah Brucker, and she ironically died in a fire, a house fire.
So the temple burn for you will be a little extra special this year. Well, Marilyn and Eric, thank you very much. I appreciate your talking to us, and have a good burn.
Thank you.
All right.
We're back. I'm Tom Laporte. We have the whole team out here for the burning of the man. There's a little bit more frantic activity as all of the fire dancers are now spinning. I hope you can see it clearly on the webcam. We have a sea of people. This was the year with 68,000 people were admitted through the gate. And as a matter of fact, what the newspaper said, here comes something of a dragon being carried on poles and completely on fire, and making its progress towards an excited crowd. This was a year when they filled up the place so much that the police decided that one burner out, one burner in, and people have been waiting for days to get in. Standing here again with Stephen Rasmussen, this was also a year, speaking of departures. Are you there? Okay, speaking of, trying again. This was also a year, speaking of departures, when there were a number of memorial processions. That seems to be a new development here.
Well, yes, this year we had a long-standing artist in our community, Pepe Ozan, who departed this world. There was a really glorious and spectacular opera and procession in his honor that included a piece that he created for a past Burning Man. It was the Narwhal. And this year we had the Twilight Voyage of the Ark of Ozan Ra in memory of Pepe. I don't know, hundreds of people were involved in pulling the narwhal from the man out to the temple. The temple this year was absolutely glorious under the leadership of artist Greg Fleischman and his team with Lightning and Sin and others. They created a really beautiful pyramid structure with several layers of inner and outer chambers based upon mathematics. It was a glorious and architectural wonder, if you ask me. And there are a number of people that we missed this year. Reverend Zed, who was a regional contact in Minnesota, Dr. Mercury in Connecticut. So for all of those that have passed this year, we remember you. You're still a part of our community. For those of you that are mourning people that left this year, we celebrate your creative spirit here today.
The temple, which burns tomorrow night, was made without any nails, any screws. That's Greg Fleischman's trademark. It's also notable that the first temple was built in 2001 by, I'm sorry?
David Best.
David Best, who was memorializing the loss of a friend's son, and he went to a toy factory and got shards of wood and fashioned the most ornate walk-in temple that he could, and people knew immediately what to do with it. People come there with their flares, with their mementos, they write inscriptions, they build altars. It's terribly meaningful, and stranger comforts stranger as people process their grief or just dedicate themselves to new lives. So the temple, which burns tomorrow and which you'll be able to see, is one of the traditions of Burning Man that could go out to the world, that can go beyond the trash fence. And Stephen, you even have a saying about that, don't you?
Yeah, the saying that has helped me, honestly, is that there is no default world unless we default. And why would we default when we know that how wonderful this feels? So that's my message for everybody at home. Don't default.
Don't default. Don't default. Before we go back to Charles Warner, I'd like to ask Dan to talk just a little bit about a stone altar that stands in the middle of the temple.
Oh, it was absolutely beautiful, Tom. There's a stone altar made of black basalt, polished black basalt, that is a figure. And black basalt, of course, is the type of rock that gives the Black Rock Desert its name. This thing was absolutely gorgeous. It had a masculine side and a feminine side. The artist put it in there, and I believe it's going to stay in there for the burn.
And speaking, I'm sorry, we're going to throw it back to the studio for a moment. Let's do that briefly because excitement is building here. Something is imminent. So let's keep it brief in the studio, but back to the studio.
Thank you, Tom. And this is Tilapia, and I'm here with Figgy and Caveat. And one of the things we did want to make sure that if you are listening and not yet watching, please go to ustream.com/Burning Man. There are two links. Look for the second link for the Mars rover art car. It'll give you another closer camera angle, and this is going to be a spectacular burn to see. Also, be listening online on BMIR, Shouting Fire. If you have the special app for Android, that is the BMIR app, you can do that. We're also can be found now on iHeartRadio. If you download it, doesn't have any of the commercials or any of the crap that you would typically with iHeartRadio, and you have to look for it. It isn't obvious. You have to be in the know. And speaking of in the know, Figgy, have you got an update for us from anybody out there at at Camp Envy.
In the internet world, yes. I just checked downstairs, and SD Media and crew, you guys are having a big party, and I hope you all are gathered together with a toast in hand, ready to send the man off in flames. Also, I want to do a special thank out to the Mars Rover Art Crew, Camp Tsunami, and Camp Why Not. Both, thank you very much for the help in putting this together. And I guess I should thank my mom and dad. If you're out there listening, party on.
All right. Thank you. And caveat, briefly, specifically about man itself. What do you feel, having seen so many of these things go up, what do you think about this, the giant size, the overwhelmingness of it? Are we in the midst of where we saw a temple 2 years ago that was giant, or last year, and now it's smaller? Now we see a man that was smaller, and now it's huge.
Well, people are instantly amazed by the size of the man base when they came out here this year. This is bigger than anything that was attempted before, and the fact that it is an interactive installation that you could go inside, walk up several levels,
go down
around,
slides.
get a view, go down slides
Yeah.
when you're leaving. I mean, even people who were a little jaded by the concept of, oh, the man standing on a UFO, well, isn't that exciting? They got excited when they got closer up to it and then walked inside. It has been a tremendous success, and in that sense, I mean, I have a partiality for man bases that have a more interactive element to them. I mean, they've all been beautiful, but some of them have been more interactive than others. I remember the 2006 man base, where there were all kinds of art pieces in it, was particularly exciting to me. That's a wonderful element that they were able to throw in, function as well as size.
I heard a very interesting comment, and we're going to go back to the man in just a second here, that as the DPW closed down everything and made it safe, the pyrotechnic guys came in and set everything up. But the interesting quote I heard from one of the people around the perimeter was, people in the know who know what's what have a healthy fear of what's going on, and they're treating this with great care because they know how big this is going to be. But let's go back to the field, and Tom Laporte, you have somebody new for us to listen to?
Yes, I do. We have Sean Warner here, who's also at his first burn. You heard from his father, the professor, a few moments ago. Sean, this is your first time at the perimeter. What are you thinking?
It's just absolutely phenomenal. There must be at least 100, 200, I don't know how many fire dancers. They're all around. They are all in rhythm. It's mind-blowing. And I see a massive structure in front of me that is about to go up in flames, and I find that very, very exciting.
Thank you. Anybody you want to shout out to?
Yes, Happy and Mouse and Melanie, all Koi Pound.
From where? Where are you from?
Indianapolis. And they're in Cincy, watching us right now on the live feed.
Indianapolis built us the Great Lakes Corps burn, didn't it?
Yes, I did a little bit of art that went on that.
What art did you do?
A couple of well piece and some painting.
What was the experience of being out here early?
It was fantastic. The whole experience was fantastic.
Can I ask your name?
Zippo.
Zippo. And your name?
Digi.
Okay, anybody you want to say hi to?
Same group.
Okay. These folks have been so nice about letting us roll in front of them and generally disrupt their burn. And now I'm trying to stand up again using Zippo shoulders. And we want to get Polaris to talk to a ranger who he's standing here squatting next to.
Tom, I'm next to Ranger Thimble. Ranger Thimble is one of the rangers guarding the perimeter at the burn. Ranger Thimble, can you tell us where you're from?
I'm from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn, great, a New Yorker. There are a lot of New Yorkers out on the playa.
There really are. Actually, one of our art cars is right over there to my right.
Terrific. Which art car is that?
It's a Thunder Gumbo. It's a little one. It's not quite as blingy as some of them out here, but it's homemade.
So, Ranger Thimble, tell us what you do here, what your job is right here at the perimeter.
At the perimeter, we're here to make friends, keep them sitting down, make sure anybody that needs medical gets medical, and encourage people not to run into the fire if they feel the need.
And of course, at some point, people do get across you and get to run into the fire. What happens then?
Well, we've had a couple of people stand up and want to get a little closer for photos, and they've all been really great. They've agreed to sit back down and understand that there will be plenty of awesome photos taken by people within the circle. They'll be able to probably find those online.
And what about when they actually let the crowd go up to the fire?
That's when it gets easy. As soon as we break the perimeter, we just go check back in, and we're free to go enjoy the rest of our burn.
Great. Is there anyone back in New York you want to say hello to?
Oh my gosh, I think everyone made it out here, but anyone who didn't, hey guys.
Terrific. Thank you, Ranger Thimble. Let's go back to Tom.
Okay, we're back at the perimeter at the man burn. The fire conclave continues. The crowd begins to starts to get more and more excited. Let's see if we can talk to Charlie Warner another moment. He's got. You're listening to a increasingly aging anchor who's finding it a little bit difficult to jump around. One more for Charlie. Okay, thank you so much. People are stepping aside a little bit so we can get to Charlie Warner. And Charlie, as this thing builds, what's going through your head?
Well, it's total amazement that all of these are volunteers, and they're doing it because they love it. And I see over to my right, with the fire dancers, there's some that are dancing nude. And that is an expression of total freedom. And it's really exciting. And nobody looks at them, they look at the dance. And I think that's really important.
You know, one of the aspects of creativity that you find out here is the support people get from total strangers and from their friends to do anything they want. That if it's self-expression and it's even if it's out of the ordinary, it's accepted, it's supported. And one thing that we've learned is that evaluation, particularly negative evaluation, puts such a damper on creativity. How can people achieve that same effect in the outside world? Here, everybody's here to give permission. How do we get permission?
Well, that's very difficult because there's too many people that are interested in power and money and their freedom for themselves, but not for others. And people are afraid of other. So that people that are afraid of other, whatever it may be, can't possibly come to Burning Man, because this is not a place of fear. This is a play of joy. This is a play of total joy.
Okay, quick word from Will. Will, any thoughts? Make them quick.
This is absolutely unbelievable.
And what's happening right now is that we have the fire conclave is finishing. Let's send it back very briefly to the studio because...
Yes, we understand the fire conclave has just finished, Tom, and we'll be back to you in just a couple minutes. We do want to remind people, if you want to watch it live, go to ustream.com/Burning Man. Look for the second link for the Mars rover art car for another closer camera angle. Tilapia Jones here with the documentation of the Manburn 2013 cargo cult. And let's go to Camp Envy. Figgy, what have you got?
Camp Envy is still alive and going well. It's about as exciting as it could possibly be if you were even on the perimeter. One shout out goes to Evil Brian. It says hello. And downstairs, upstairs, I've checked all the other rooms. I've been in and out, and thank you for all the messages. And we'll have a little bit more to say after the burn, and eventually go from there.
Caveat, quickly. You had a very interesting idea about some of the images that we're seeing on a recurring theme here and the size and scope of it. Could you give us a real quick background on that?
Well, it appears that given the opportunity to be inspired by cargo cults, many of the large arts installations have taken a religious theme. That is to say, they've taken on religion generally. Some of the most spectacular art I have seen out there, the Photograph Cathedral church trap, are commentaries on religion in all of its forms, and so it's been a very fertile theme in that sense. On the other end of the side of the spectrum, we got a lot of aliens. We got an awful lot of aliens here, so it's a theme that's encouraged a real diversity of
and they
interests.
both go back to that sense of the unknown. We don't know why things happen. We're trying to explain what's going on. Could it be a cargo cult? Could it be religion? And is a religion, part of a cargo cult? I mean, there's a lot of big questions being opened up.
Many burners out here seem to be, at least implicitly, some explicitly, really accepting of the idea that we ourselves, our own civilization, is a kind of cargo cult, that we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And as you look at some of the manifestations of that, not just the artwork, the flying saucers that have moved, the Kidsville that was given the tour of the flying saucer, but even the people and how they're dressing up. I mean, you can see that there's a diversity there. You don't see a lot of duplication of imagery, but you do see a lot of interpretation.
With the possible exception of cargo pants, which are just ridiculously popular this year. You'd almost think Cargo Cult was brought to you by Cargo Pants,
and Old Navy.
But that aside, it's people have really used their imaginations on this one. I felt occasionally with past themes like there was an easy answer. Evolution. We're all for it. The American dream breaks down along pretty predictable lines, but this theme has really given people a chance to use their imagination, sit on big questions, and come up with art, dress, ways of living it out that I think are genuinely unique. And
it's kind of funny because initially I think there was a lot of head scratching going, where do we go with that? But we're getting to the point where they're clearing the ring, they're moving people back, they're 450 feet back. And one more thing that I think bears mentioning is that some people don't realize that as they built this, before they built that base and the man above it, there was a whole lot of rock brought in, and the rock has been put beneath the base, so that as we see this burn and it goes down, it isn't going to do permanent damage to the playa, but it also makes it easier for the cleanup, which, as you know, year to year has been rapid. And you wonder, this year, with all the extra wood, with everything else, are they going to be able to pull it off as quickly as they have in the past?
Well, you know, Burning Man is always a high-wire act. We reinvent this city year after year, and we keep pushing ourselves, which means that we don't do the same thing over and over. And if you keep pushing yourselves, then you are going to run into unexpected problems, new frontiers, new phenomenon, things you just don't know about. And they do the best job they can to predict what the issues are going to be and get safely across that high wire. But sometimes, yeah, you do wonder, well, how is this going to turn out?
And it's all called learning.
Well, it's called learning. It's all called not resting on your laurels.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is what makes Burning Man so exciting.
It does. And I want to throw it back out to Tom Laporte right now, who has a big update for us. I think we're getting close. Are we, Tom?
We're getting very close. We have a conclave that's now finished its fire performances. The members of the conclave are now in a circle in a seated position, so they're not getting in front of the crowd. The Rangers are walking around with the acute attention of Secret Service agents, looking at the crowd more than they are looking at the man, trying to make sure that as the excitement builds, people don't get a little bit out of control and endanger themselves or others. The darkness has come to the area. All the lights are out except for the man and the art cars. And Stephen Raspa is with us. Stephen, this is a moment of the highest tension in the city, isn't it?
Yeah, the air is very thick with anticipation. I'm looking around, just really enjoying all of the different forms of human expression out here. I see the Love Potion art car over there. I see El Polpo Mecanico raising its arms and shooting fire into the air. I see huge hearts. I see the man now igniting with not flames, but the fireworks are beginning to start.
And the fireworks, if you can't see it right now, are just sort of glistening up and down the legs of the man and on the heads of the man. And coming out of the base of the flying saucer are fountains of sparks. In just a moment, as the thing goes up, we're going to allow you to watch it without a lot of commentary. Of course, you have the opportunity to turn the volume down if you want to. I'd also like to say that as the fire burns, what's really striking here is to look at the crowd and see all these intelligent faces, all the people who brought this city to life and are now enjoying each other, and a spectacle that's just starting up, but everybody knows that it's going to lead to something really huge.
The effects are going off on the space now. It's going around the spaceship. It's as if the spaceship is taking off, and definitely the spirit of this crowd is taking off. So for all of you at home, just want to say it's a marvelous night here. You're with us and very much in our hearts and thoughts, and burn brightly wherever you are, people.
And up go the skyrockets, which are a feature of this thing. There's going to be an intense fireworks display. And we're just about to come to the point of the conflagration where it's inappropriate.
Stop talking now.
Okay, and we're just about to stop talking. As a matter of fact, why don't we do that now with thanks to the entire team that's been here, Stephen Raspa, Polaris, Mark Chang, and Decibel. I'm Tom Laporte, and this is live from the playa, the Burning of the Man 2013. This is BMIR News.